when we got to Iwo Jima, they told us that we probably would never even get off ship because we were a reserve division. The other two divisions had roughly 40,000 Marines that were going to be on that wee little island. Well, after they lost something like 5,000 on the first day, they decided they were going to have more people. The Japanese pillboxes had us stalled, and as we were trying to get across the airfields there, we were losing Marines very rapidly. And sometimes even commanding officers get desperate. So, losing men rapidly, he asked me, as a demolition man, if I thought I could do anything about those pillboxes that were out there. I have no idea what I said. Not the slightest idea. Somebody in my unit said, I'll try.
We started down a river, and we were taking fire from all quadrants, and my gunners were returning fire with their M60s and suppressing as best they could. And you could hear the bullets hitting the helicopter. But everybody was so darn busy doing what they do that we didn't really know how bad we were hurt.
They had given me 4 rifle people, and they were to give me protection while I was out there trying to knock out some of those pillboxes. 2 of those men, in the early part of the 4 hours that I was trying to do this job, I lost them.
It was just like living in a bad dream. You know, no matter what I did, it's like I wasn't doing nothing to them. You know, it was 1,500 enemy against 42 kids, and they just kept coming.
I got about 2 feet from the Chinese. They had about 35 Chinese coming at me. The only thing that separated was the dirt from their trench. I was on one side of it, and they was on the other. And I stopped and looked back, and I was by myself.
Saw the compound, and that's when I saw the big flagpole in the middle of it that nobody told me about. And I figured I just barely had enough clearance to get in there with a 48-foot rotor system. And that's when I found out that there was a lot of dust in the compound. And so all of a sudden I couldn't see where I was going. I knew there was a flagpole and I knew there was a building, but I had no idea where they were.
Well, I fired the last rounds, and I didn't think that I was probably going to see daylight, but I wasn't going to quit. You know, because I thought, well, if I don't do my job, those guys behind me ain't got a chance.
I said, well, Ron Rosser, you went to a lot of trouble to get here. Let's give it a go. I let out a war whoop like a wild Apache Indian and jumped in the trench with them.
Came over the wall, and I just said, well, plant the helicopter. So I planted the helicopter.
So I asked the men above to give me the strength to carry all 3 of my brothers at one time.
And as they were loading the wounded, the dust started to clear a little bit. And I had about equal distance between the flagpole and the building with my rotor blades. There was about 2 feet on either side.
Don't ask me how I did it. I don't know how I did it. But in 4 hours, I knocked out 7 of those things. But I always have to say this. This medal doesn't belong to me. It belongs to those 2 Marines who did not get to come home. I was just doing the job. They did more than their job.
You know, there's something about the Medal of Honor. It's a privilege, it's an honor to wear it. And most of us that you talk to will always tell the same story. We don't wear it for ourselves, we wear it for all those that can't.
I've learned what it represents, and that alone is what makes you feel so humble.
It's a symbol of a valuing of something greater than self.
It's not a question of heroism, it's a question of doing what you need to do because nobody else can do it.
You feel an obligation to not let down the people either whom you're leading or who are standing beside you or fighting beside you.
I believe firmly that my job was to care for the guys.
I've always had a feeling that I couldn't let my friends down.
No matter how much we love our country, we fought for each other.
A lot of people think that the great thing about the Medal of Honor is it's awarded by Congress and presented by the President. But to me, the real honor of the Medal of Honor is that a handful of young men who were with you at a difficult time thought you was worthy of it.
So I'm crawling back to help Bill Few's guys when I came across my Mino sergeant again. He got a big hole in his chest, and he couldn't talk, but he picked his hand up. And I thought, my sergeant wants me to hold his hand. So I kind of crawled up and I grabbed a hold, and I still was hoping that he was going to tell me what to do next, you know. And I grabbed a hold of his hand and I looked down in his eyes. The light bulb that comes on in your head that your daddy always told you about, the light bulb came on. All these things that he had, you know, polishing the bullet, the beehive round, setting the time fuse on it, setting out in 100-degree heat with a blindfold. Sergeant Gant shared with us the things that he knew was going to help us survive. And when I looked down in his eyes, I knew that he didn't hate me, that he loved me. You got to love somebody a whole lot to pick on them and teach them things.
You know, you read about this thing when you're a kid, but you don't ever, in your wildest dreams, suspect that any time in your lifetime that you would ever be thought of to receive this award.
I think that we wear it for any American, civilian or military, that does the job they're assigned, no matter what it is, the best they can do it, and they're responsible. I think that's what makes the difference.
It's important that our children look at that and say, courage is a good thing. Sacrifice is a good thing.
The medal represents what the country has always stood for. Sacrifice. We wouldn't be here if somebody hadn't sacrificed for us before we got here.
I'm alive today because I had them damn good men. Huh? I get emotional about it. We're a free country. And why are we? Because a lot of people, black, white, yellow, went and gave their lives so that you and I could live free. Huh? Simple as that.
It didn't matter where you were from or who you were. We looked out for one another. And that same thing can apply to the United States of America. And every citizen, take care of one another.
Whether it's in the military and you have a military commitment, or whether it's in private sector or in school, you don't let your buddies on the left and the right down. You just do what's right and they'll do it for you, and that's what makes this country so great.